Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
So today we are going to review... Well, before we begin our review, I should say, guys, sorry for being this long to continue where we left off for our podcast.
Well, what's he trying to say? We had a break, and we said we're going to have a break, and we said we're going to be coming back on about the 5th or 6th of the month.
To continue our recording sessions.
Yeah, so we only had a bit... Really, in reality, we only had a week down. So we're doing pretty damn good.
Yes, so anyway, tonight we are going to review a bit of a huge film series called The Conjuring universe.
Well, it's a group of movies, which are The Conjuring, the Nun, Annabelle, all those good groovy things.
Yeah, all connected to a couple we like to refer to, Ed and Lorraine Warren,
yeah.
Who were famous for being paranormal investigators.
Now, we won't get into whether you believe them or not, but they made damn fine movies, okay?
Yeah, and most of the time so you guys know, while most of the details are taken from case histories or cases that they investigated, most of the story plot itself is slightly changed to make it more exciting and adventurous and kind of cool for these guys at home.
Some what's the word? Over Hollywoodized.
Yeah, because as we both know, this one often kept referring back to 2 or 3 or just 2 other demons in this one, like the Annabelle, fake doll, and the nun that we've learnt is named Valak, and it continues to try to add a connection between both demons. But of course, this is just to make the movies a little bit more exciting for all of you at home.
Now, considering we're doing all about 8 movies or 9 movies, whatever it is, we've quite a few movies involved. We can't go into what I normally do, but I will say it was created by James Wan, the guy who did Saw,
and
some other things.
What was it called? The other one? I think it was Dead Silent.
Yeah, I think Dead Silence, yeah. So, yeah, he's really good when he puts his hand to something. Now, he created by it. I think he directed the first 2, and he came through as executive producer on some of the other ones, if not all of the other ones. So,
no doubt.
A very talented young man he is. I don't know how young he is now, but he was when he started.
Such a smart man for his... So you guys know, he directed 2 of these movies, but the rest were done by different directors, and he just was the producer who supervised them, obviously, and got the nod. He was the one who nodded his head, yes, we'll go with the story, no, we don't want to go for the story.
Taking the wrong direction.
Taking it in the wrong direction, stuff like that. So, anyway, I'll gloss over the bit of the story as much as possible. I'll tell you bits of the stories.
We'll do whatever.
But I won't run into them like I always do, where I review one movies, and then when you're reviewing, say, 8 movies or 10 movies, they're all part of a similar franchise, you begin to think that you can't really review them all at once.
I want to do. I'm going to do a batch of their budgets and their box offices before we do anything.
Yes.
Okay? Conjuring, the year 2013, a budget of $20 million. It grossed $320 million. Annabelle was made in 2014, a budget of $6.5 million. Worldwide profits, box office was $258 million. The Conjuring 2 was done in 2016, a $40 million budget, and it came in at box office about $220 million. Annabelle Creation was made for $15, came in at about a little over $200 million. 300 million, sorry. Next one, The Nun, 22, came in at about $365 million. Annabelle Comes Home, made for 27, came in about $231 million. Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, made for $39 million, came in about $206 million. The Nun 2, made for 38, came in at 268 mil. So every one of the movies they did in this series, group, whatever you want to call it, made seriously good money.
Also, guys, seeing as the Nun sequel came out, it confused me a great deal because if Valak returns and it kind of changes the story dynamics in The Conjuring, the first one, because in the first Conjuring it talks details about an exorcism and it brought forth the Valak demon and it has that connection. But now that they added this one, it feels like the connection has been broken because we don't know whether Valak is still within the our leading one of our characters, or he's just still hovering somewhere. I don't know. I could be wrong. We still don't understand everything, every facet in the story, and I still question it nonstop that whether this is the last movie or will they continue on from there. Obviously.
Well, if they can make more money out of it, they might.
Yes. Anyway, do you mind if I go into the stories now, Mike?
It sounds like a good idea. I just wanted to see if there's anything else I got here I can talk about. It just makes it very, very hard.
Of course, it's 8 movies.
I will mention a couple of things. Cast.
Okay.
2 people.
2.
Well, I mentioned the 2 main ones. The guy who played Ed Warren is Patrick Wilson, and Lorraine Warren was played by Vera Farmiga. Farmiga. I think it's the right way to say her name. I'm not really sure. She would know. They showed up in most of the movies. 2 of them they didn't show up. Annabelle and Annabelle Creation. I don't think they showed up. I think he did in the credits or something rather when they're doing.
He did make a brief appearance in the beginning of Annabelle, but that was just some bits from the first movie, Conjuring.
It's like to segue it into the
And the same I could say for the Nun, where we see way to the end them exorcising a demon Valak out of some poor tomato farmer.
Yeah.
And those are the only connections where it brings back the original cast from that play Ed and Lorraine Warner, obviously. Warren, sorry. Anyway, so I'll go into the stories. I'll try to keep them as brief as possible because there's too many to cover on this channel.
Yes, we can't go into depth on all of them now.
Yeah. So the first Conjuring was made in 2013, directed by James Wong, obviously. And so the story takes place where a bunch of those kids they were adults who have an Annabelle doll, and they're being interviewed by Ed and Lorraine, and they tell them about how they think it was possessed by, a little girl. But of course, they were wrong. As it turned out, it was just it was being possessed by a demon or unearthly spirit, and the couple decide to take the doll off their hands so they can get rid of it, obviously, which they did, and then we cross over to a family moving into their new home.
Yes, okay.
And sorry, guys. Anyway, so as they're moving in, they notice something eerie about the house. Like all of a sudden, there is this clock, or the clocks in particular, start stopping at 3 o'clock in the morning, obviously. And then it goes on throughout the movie, obviously. Anyway, so, and for a while it feels like, and a little girl finds a weird music box out in their backyard that probably belonged to one of the owners in the past, obviously. And so the mother starts getting these weird scratches on her arms and her, other parts of her body, like bruises and scratches. And Ed and Lorraine, they get pulled into this, and they realize that these people are being haunted by a witch, or someone who...
Or cursed or something.
Cursed by a witch. Yep. It seems the witch cursed her land, like she killed her little baby, and she causes that the mothers or the or the parent to kill their children, obviously.
Somewhat.
And this goes on for, I guess, a few years, obviously, because she married just a man who owned the land, and she decided to try to curse the land. So anyone who moves into her area,
and try to use the land for anything, or live in it, or buy it, or sell it, or whatever, would be affected by it.
Yes. So anyway, they eventually fight the demon off as much as they can, thanks to a little help from some other people who helped them investigate along the way, like who kind of help record it, I guess, like video record it or using a tape recorders, stuff like that. I don't even know if they really did that because I think they probably did do that. Probably recorded their cases, to make sure that they're not fakes and make sure they get approval by the church to exorcise the demons and or spirits from such a place. Anyway, they eventually do fight the demons off, and eventually they bring back the music box to their little collection or archive collection they keep in the basement, I think it was, where they keep all their artifacts throughout their investigations and cases. So the next one is Annabelle, the continuation story or backstory, because this one's a prequel. So this one would have been released in 2014.
Yeah.
So who directed that one?
Fred Smith. I don't know. That's what I was trying to shuffle my papers before, and he hit me.
I did mean to. You're distracting me.
Distracting you? I get crap all otherwise, Director. Who's Fred Smith? Okay, no.
I know it was not James Wan. I know that for a fact, guys.
Yeah.
Because he then does the next one after that, obviously, and then
Annabelle was done by John Leonetti.
Yeah,
Leonetti.
Anyway, so in that one, that's a prequel taking place before the nurses adopted the Annabelle doll into their home. And in this one, it's about a couple who are married and going to have their first child. And she's been given a porcelain doll that everyone keeps saying.
In the movie, it was a China doll. The porcelain faces and everything, the old style, like Victorian sort of style.
Yeah.
But in reality, the
it's
original was
doll
like a rag doll. like made of material, like a Raggedy Ann type thing.
Yeah, it was sort of like Mike here said.
Yeah.
It was a Raggedy Doll Ann doll. I actually went online to actually find the original Annabelle doll, and when I think about that particular doll, that comes more scarier than the one they have in this movie.
Yeah, the other one was hideous. You wouldn't give it to a child.
Yes, what kind of parent or self-respected person would want to have a doll like that? I mean, except for the fans out there who are fans of the movies.
Put in my collection.
But in this case, I don't think any respected person would just have that type of doll sitting in their closet.
I'm a respectful person. I love it.
Well, that's because you've seen the movie and it's a creepy doll. To me, not so much.
I want to get the cube out of Hellraiser too. Really
to me, the Annabelle doll doesn't come off as just as creepy. It's just too obvious, in my opinion.
Probably.
Anyway, the couple get the doll, and then their neighbours, they get murdered by some cult people, turning out that was their adopted daughter who was involved with these cult people, and she invaded the next door neighbors, and even her boyfriend was with her, and they tried to kill the couple, but eventually they both get killed, and the woman's bleeds into the Annabelle doll that's in the couple's baby room. Obviously, she collects lots of these dolls for her, I guess, her expected child. Obviously, even though when you think about it, you don't even know
what a spoiled brat.
Yes. Even though you don't know the sex of the baby as of yet. This is before. I think they might have had ultrasound. I'm not sure. Maybe not.
Not back then.
I think there was a moment they did had ultrasound.
No, when it was set. You got to look at it, not when the movie was made, because Annabelle, the movie, was actually supposed to be retrospectively back to Annabelle was supposedly based in 1970.
Yeah.
That's what I was my notes before. I got all stuff like that there.
Yeah, anyway, so the couple get spooked and eventually starts suspecting the Annabelle doll, or more the mother, because then she gets pregnant by her. Gives birth to her baby, and they move out of their old home because they think it's got too many negative energy. So they think that they'll get away just to start over, but they end up living in a hotel, or not a hotel. I mean, a bit of some flats, obviously, and the haunting continues, even though it's hard to know from haunting to just ordinary hotel or flat
so somebody's
atmosphere.
being followed or possessed by somebody.
Yes. Anyway, eventually, they eventually find the solution to how to stop Annabelle from spreading her evil, and eventually the doll vanished, and this is where that particular story links into The Conjuring, where in this one it sort of shows a mother to one of the nurses looking for a doll for her daughter, which I think is a bit weird because both daughters are like in they're both all adults.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't know. Maybe maybe one of her daughters was a collector of dolls.
G.I. Joes and everything else.
It's possible.
Kens and Barbies. And
now we move on to
pennies.
The Conjuring 2 that came out in 2016.
And that was the second one that James Wan did.
Yes, that's him. And this one is about the Enfield haunting.
The Enfield haunting in England,
which takes place in England,
That's
obviously.
one a lot of people knew more about that one.
Yeah, and of course, most people thought it was odd, particularly that these people ran directly to the media instead of directly to some investigators to find out the cause to the haunt, obviously.
Well, it gets let out to the media. I don't think it went straight to the media.
Yeah. Being the mother is a single parent, and I guess she wanted the money, but we don't even know fully.
Well, I would have been paid for the story, you see, so yeah.
So we don't know the full story of whether or not they were really haunted or really just looking for the attention.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in this movie, it's pretty much the latter. They are really haunted, and Ed and Lorraine, they come into the picture and they try to help the family.
They do the psychic investigation stuff and set up cameras and do recordings and stuff and
also,
all the good stuff you
Lorraine
get.
also kept experiencing the Valak nun, the spooky demon that comes in the form of a nun, obviously.
Penguin. Yep.
And it starts haunting both. Well, not really haunting. It's sending messages to Lorraine, obviously, and she knows it has something to do with Enfield. Obviously, she actually even encounters it when she was at the Annabelle. the Annabelle house.
Annabelle,
and that was in the way to the beginning, and we don't. I mean, I know we've heard the Annabelle house so many times. It already made its own franchise, for goodness sakes.
No, but we're not doing the Amityville horror.
I know.
At the moment.
No, not
we're
at the moment.
doing the Conjuring horror.
That's
at the
probably
moment,
too many movies to count.
They had the Amityville horror and different things and spin-offs and other.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And the Amityville horror goes to Bali for a holiday and stuff.
Well, that's what I mean. The story itself has gone further than any haunting story I've ever heard. Anyway, so they eventually find out that the ghost haunting the place turns out to be it has a demon trying to try to draw people in, obviously, and it turns out the demon was trying to take on the form of an elderly man and started to spook the children a great deal, including taking the form of the crooked man in a music box.
It was crooked man who had walked a crooked mile, found a crooked sixpence against crooked style. He had a crooked house, crooked cat, crooked wife, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, eventually, the Ed and Lorraine, they're still not convinced that whether they were haunted or not, because there was even a scene when they were trying to conjure up the old man, where the daughter was told to take a sip of the water and see if the demon will come out. Fortunately, the demon says, "I will only talk if you guys all turn your heads." And one investigator says, she may have spit the water out and started ventriloquizing the voice.
Or making the voice, and then
making the
put
voice.
some water back in the mouth before they turned around again. So,
Yes.
yeah, well, it's a possibility.
Yeah. Lorraine works it out that this new demon that she encountered at the Annabelle is connected to this one, obviously. And here she finds out its name, Valak, obviously, through her Bible, which she kind of had a vision when she was in her home, that she asked the demon what's its name, and she wrote it down. It's sort of like automatic writing, I think.
Yeah, she didn't know it at the time, but she, yeah.
Anyway,
Interesting.
they helped the family and managed to save the kids and the mother. Of course, we then find out in the scene that the house is no longer haunted, obviously, and the mother continues to live in that property, and even when she got too old, she eventually died in the same spot as the old man did.
Well, they didn't say same seat, okay?
I didn't say same seat, I said
the
same
spot in the lounge room. Just sitting in his armchair, probably watching telly, and snuffed it. Yeah.
Now we move on to the sort of another prequel sequel to Annabelle Creation.
Annabelle Creation, yeah.
Which was done in 2017.
How Annabelle was created.
Yes, in this
It was
one.
Geppetto.
Yeah, so who directs this one? Yeah.
Well, there you go. Annabelle Creation, directed by David Sandberg. There you go.
Yeah. Before we continue, guys, I want to say sorry to Mike for hitting his shoulder earlier.
I was trying to shuffle through some paper. I got quite a few pieces of paper here because I'm doing a franchise here of movies, and she gave me a thump, and she wasn't very nice to me.
Yes,
Considering I'm the audio tech and everything else here as well.
Yes, so in this one, this is another prequel to Annabelle's movie, obviously. So we're within a prequel movie within a prequel movie, if you can call it that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Another prequel. Yeah, the prequel to the prequel.
So this one has another origin story where the Annabelle doll, how it got its demon in this one, obviously. And in this one, it takes place with a bunch of old people. It's probably around the 1950s or I don't know what decade it was. I think it looked like it was the 1930s because it mentioned one of the wars that I'm not familiar with, obviously.
Give me an Annabelle Creation was based in about 1958.
Yeah, it felt like that because they were wearing very oldish clothing, and it pretty much looked like that period because they're still using old radios, and there was a bit of a television set, but one of those older style ones. Of course.
You got to look. I'll just give a bit of an idea of the time frame here. We'll do a break for a second because these are out of context. Obviously, the Nun movie was based in 1952. The Nun 2 movie is based in 1956. Annabelle Creation was 1958. Annabelle was 1970. The Conjuring is 71. Annabelle Comes Home is 72. Conjuring 2 was 77, and the Devil Made Me Do It is 1981. So the movies weren't made in order, but they're bouncing around a bit. Yeah.
That's a lot to take in, folks.
Yes, that's why some older stuff going on.
Yeah, you can see why such a thing needs to be worked out in our heads. So anyway, in that
My brain hurts.
So in that one, Annabelle Creation, it's about these orphans who are taken in by the local residents of a house, and from a doll maker. He made dolls like Annabelle dolls.
But handmade. Like the wooden ones. I used to carve them out.
Porcelain doll, whatever they call it.
No, he used to carve the wood.
Oh yeah,
and make wooden heads and wooden arms and whatever, and put in clothes. His wife made the clothes. I can't remember.
Well, we didn't
But he was a toy maker guy anyway. He actually made the dolls and gave them to local toy shops, and they actually sold them or whatever.
Anyway, on the way home from, I guess, church, one of the men tells him that we are going to look at purchasing your dolls. And
are they ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the way home, they get into
they get a blowout.
They get a blowout, and then fixing up the car. Their daughter B, who's named Annabelle, gets killed by running over a car.
Yes, he runs out in front of a car and got splattered. Yeah.
Then we cross over 10 or 12 years
whatever,
later,
yeah.
where a bunch of orphan girls are placed in the care of the couple.
Well, not the care. I think the number's going to be there,
Yeah.
but they're letting their house out to the church or whatever to use it as an orphanage.
Yeah. A bunch of girls, like, I don't know how many. Well, actually, I do have.
10, is it?
Not too many, obviously.
8 or 10 or something. Yeah.
Anyway, so we then learned that I don't know how to explain this because I don't know how this happened, but it seems the couple, they were so desperate to want their daughter back, whatever
they
it means.
They prayed to whoever, whether God or the devil or anybody else, to bring their daughter back, even the spirit, and put it in one of the dolls so they can at least have their daughter near them.
The spirit.
That's what they said in the film. Okay.
Yeah, it turns out to be harmless at first, like, just a few running around in the house, and then the doll gives a message to the parents that she wishes to occupy one of the dolls that her dad made, obviously.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah.
So it turns out it gets more sinister, and eventually they then contact the local church, and the church, they bind the evil demon inside the doll, and the father in turn sort of stores it in a
locked room,
covered in Bible passages.
Yeah. It was in a locked bedroom, in a cupboard, which is also locked, and they had pages out of the Bible lining the inside of the room, so the demon, whatever, or ghosty, whatever in the doll wouldn't get out.
But fortunately, it does get out thanks to a little girl who has a bit of a limp.
I think the doll, the demon, used mind control on her to bring her in, to let her out of the cupboard.
Yeah, anyway, eventually she goes, the door itself kind of opens on its own accord, because even though the man tells them that the place, his daughter's room is locked, but we soon see it's not locked, like the demon had used its ability to make her the only one to walk in there, which she does, and she finds the key to the closet, and she opens it, and she sees the doll, but she's so spooked out she leaves the room, and of course the demon within the doll starts targeting her, obviously, throughout this movie, while the rest of the time the girls are having fun at the farm. She is absolutely terrified. She even gets chased by this demon in one scene where you see her where the demon follows her, and in a special chair lift,
it attacks her. Lifts,
it attacks her, and she's confined to a wheelchair. And then she gets attacked again by this demon, and she gets possessed. And suddenly she starts walking normally. I know that it said in the movie that one day she was going to be able to walk normally like any other person, obviously. She had, I guess, what's the term that they used when they said that she had... Did she have polio? No, not
she might have polio or something.
Yeah, polio, I think it was.
I can't remember. But yeah, polio is a good one. Yeah.
Anyway, she eventually starts spooking her friend, and then... of course, she starts hunting the girls and starts attacking the nun, and she even kills both the husband and wife of the owners of the house. Of course, they eventually fight off the doll, and eventually, they quickly store both her friend and the doll inside the closet. It causes this mighty tremor inside the house, a lot of, paranormal stuff, and soon enough, it stops for a while, and then the police arrive to take the doll away, and the priest says the house is cleansed, and he remarks that the doll is no longer possessed, and the girl that was possessed by the demon is now disappeared. And then we find out much later on that she's gone to a different orphanage somewhere and is adopted by the family that was in the first Annabelle movie. And there is that bit of connection in that movie, even though I still don't think we even know to this day whether
The
how
links
Annabelle.
the links are a little bit sort of stretched.
Yeah. Now we've moved to our newest movie called The Nun, which was released in 2018. So
That sounds about right.
so who directed that one or written it?
2018, director Corin Hardy.
Okay, so in that one, it talks about a nun and a priest who both had to investigate a nunnery, or not really a nunnery, it's more like a parish somewhere.
No, it's I think it was a nunnery because it was a nun, like what do you call it? When a place where an abbey is it?
An abbey.
It's like an abbey or a nunnery, whatever you want to call it.
And those particular nuns were protecting some ancient evil that was summoned by a duke or a lord who was so obsessed with the occult, and he summoned something dark and sinister, turning out to be
But this
Valak.
evil presence was locked up or secured inside the chapel there or somewhere in the building, and the nuns' job were to constantly keep prayers going to help keep the demon controlled.
The problem with this is, guys, that when the priest and the nun, she was not a nun at the point. She was more of a junior nun.
Yeah, the one before when you join the nuns, the nunnery, whatever you go, and before you take your vows, whatever you call that period.
You're sort of a nun in training.
Like in Sound of Music, Julie Andrews was gonna be a nun, but decided to get married at the end.
Yeah.
Hey, good-looking guy.
Anyway, so they're also assisted by this guy named Maurice, whom we find out later on is going to be the carrier of this ancient demon later on.
He gets that later on. Poor little man, poor fellow.
Anyway,
nice man,
they do find out this abbey was sort of about. They find out about the history.
They call them convent for nuns, I think.
Oh, convent.
Yeah,
they find out that this convent turns out to be they hear about the history, obviously, and how the nuns were trying to protect the town using their prayers and stuff. But somehow one of the nuns, two nuns were murdered by the Valak demon, obviously, and of course, the last nun she sort of hanged herself.
Yeah.
And died. Anyway, so it's up to our nun and priest to try to put an end to this evil, and eventually they find that through some blood of Christ that's hidden in the walls of sorts.
Yeah, in a bottle. Yeah.
In a bottle of sorts.
Like an old religious relic.
They eventually vanished it with this blood, and the nun and the priest, they returned to their... Oh, I should mention the junior nun in training does eventually took her vows in a bit of a different sense.
Yeah, to make a stronger commitment and spiritual link so she hopefully gets more power and personally resolve to battle the demon. How's that?
Yeah, she also has this ability of, I guess... she
a bit psychic,
bit of a psychic ability.
Yeah.
So
that's right. Yeah, mother had it as well, and everyone thought it was a bit weird because she was a bit like a mother, and one of the reasons why she joined the nunnery and stuff, so she'd get into a situation where she would be picked on all the time.
Yeah, we then learned that Maurice somehow got a taste, or not? Yeah, probably a bit of a taste of the evil demon Valak inside him. We see it on the back of his neck with the upside down cross.
Burn on a scar.
Like,
so,
yeah.
But it wasn't that after he said "take me" because it was attacking a little girl or something or other, or.
That was a different movie, Mike. I mean, this one was more like she was fighting the demon, and somehow the demon put a snake inside. Had a snake tongue.
That's right.
Go inside him, meaning that Valak created a safeguard in case he could not get to the nun, he can get through Maurice later on. So
Maurice,
the next movie is Annabelle Comes Home, which is released in 2019. So we're getting close to the present now again.
Yep.
So
Annabelle Comes Home. She's been on holidays. No.
Yeah, well, this is a continuation after...
so Mum and Dad actually bring Annabelle home and put her in the museum.
Yeah, but they found out the spirit is, or the demon is a lot more dangerous. So they didn't want to
The
keep.
force is strong with this one.
So they didn't want it just lying around on the shelves, just like the other objects. They created a cabinet made of church glass.
Yeah, they had some glass panels that were taken over a church that was no longer being used. They used the glass panels from the church to line the display box. What a clever idea that was!
Yes,
Yeah.
and of course they get a priest in 2 months, twice a month to bless the case.
The room, well, the room or just the case.
I think probably all
Both.
the objects.
Yeah, whole lot. There's lots of groovy stuff in there. Yeah, anyone seen the TV series Friday the 13th?
Yes.
Had the same sort of thing. They collected these artifacts because this old guy, their uncle had died and he'd been selling these artifacts off to get them around the world and stuff.
Oh, Mike, before I forget, who directed this one? I should have mentioned this before I started into this one.
Which one? Annabelle Comes Home?
Yes.
Gary Doberman, Dauberman, Doberman, anyway, yeah.
Yes. So as I was saying, this one takes place with not so much as Ed and Lorraine in this one, but more their daughter Judith, who has a hard time coping with being at school and her parents working all the time.
And everyone thinks her parents are weird because they're ghost and demon hunters.
They see them as, according to the news, they think, is it real or is it a hoax? It's the ultimate question because when you think about this,
move on.
Well, bear in mind, Mike, before the haunting movies and stuff like that, well, maybe not long before, because it's been around for years, most of these haunting stories, especially if you watched or read the book, the what's it called? Let me see.
That one.
The one that deals, that's sort of that governess who goes to this mansion and trains his children.
Oh, the Turn of the Screw.
The Turn of the Screw.
Deborah Paget, was it?
Yeah. And there's The Haunting, which was a book too, obviously. Yeah. So haunting has been around for like quite a long time, and I guess I can understand why the media would think at those days, would Ed and Lorraine fake this stuff?
Who knows? You don't know.
It's
hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. Anyway, Judith is going to have a birthday soon, and of course, none of the classmates want to come because they think their house is haunted by evil spirits and stuff like that. Even though she tries to convince them, no, there isn't.
We're an evil cat.
She also has the same ability as her mother, Lorraine, obviously, where she can see spirits.
Well, she can see things and stuff. I see dead people.
Like we often see when she's at school, she sees a priest. I guess he may have been a priest of the school before her time. I don't know.
Yeah, and he's since passed away, but he's still hanging around.
Yeah.
Aha.
Anyway, she's at the moment, while her parents are away investigating and stuff, she's being looked after by a full-time babysitter. I think that's the term.
Whatever, yeah.
When they're away on very big cases.
Babysitter, housekeeper type. Young girl, though.
Yeah. And she has a best friend who wants to check out this house because she has unresolved issues because she lost her father. Who died in a car accident.
No, the boyfriend, wasn't it?
No.
Okay.
Boyfriend.
Okay.
Not boyfriend, it was her father. Because he and her were doing a driving lesson, and he died, and she blames herself, and she wants to put this behind her by trying to contact him and ask him whether he'll forgive her.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Anyway, so she goes to the house, and she asks Judith if she's seen any spirits or anything like that in the house. But of course, she says, no, it's pretty much like, your ordinary
normal
house.
Normal house. It's on The Simpsons.
Yeah. She also goes into, she tries to go into the place where they keep all the creepy archive, collection stuff, the haunted stuff.
Oh, your bedroom?
Funny.
I don't really.
But but the door's locked, like severely locked, like lots of bolts
secured,
and locks.
with decent keys and locks and stuff.
So she goes to Ed's office where he keeps a set of keys behind Jesus' picture.
Yeah, what a great secure place to put it.
Yeah. She then takes it down, and when she's inside the room, she starts touching every individual thing.
Which you're not supposed to do in this place.
Because in any such haunting experiences stuff will tell you never to touch, demonic stuff.
Shouldn't think so.
Because they could latch onto you or create, this might start hovering around you, obviously. That's not really a good thing.
Hover. Yeah.
She even finds the Annabelle doll, and it kind of falls forward, and she tries to put the doll back, but it says on the case not to open.
And she opened
but
it.
She does.
Bugger.
And when she is hearing that Judith and her babysitter are returning, they were going out for a bit, and
she hastily runs out of the room and doesn't lock the case.
Yes.
And guess who gets out to play?
A lot of sad demons, because as I said before, Annabelle is really powerful. So
she's the ringleader.
Yeah. We even see when Lorraine and Ed were bringing her back, that when they went past the cemetery, we see spirits, coming closer to Lorraine and Ed, and they realize this Annabelle is like a beacon of evil. Like anything that comes near it that has some evil issues will come to it and this will cause it to be very evil and powerful. Start summoning other evil stuff. And anyway, the kids start experiencing some really creepy stuff. Of course, most of it was shrugged off, and like later on when they have a foggy evening, a werewolf starts attacking their neighbor, the boy next door, obviously, who has a crush on Judith's babysitter, obviously.
Who wouldn't? She's really cute. Yeah,
who's a bit
of a crush.
Who works at a grocery, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, he went to the grocery store or something. Yeah.
He gets chased down by a werewolf, which I found out that was one of their cases, but I'm not sure if it's a werewolf or just another mythology thing, like the Hannah Baskerville stuff.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, then other stuff happens, like where a girl saying that she's looking for Annabelle comes knocking at the door and asks to see her. Of course, her babysitter shrugs this off, just thinking that this is just a strange girl just dressed for Halloween early, stuff like that. And other stuff to happen, like Annabelle showing up in Judith's room, when she's asleep. And then all the other creepy stuff, like coins from the ferryman.
You get a ferryman, the dead person put pennies on their eyes, that sort of stuff.
And the spirits start attacking them, obviously, and also the samurai. There's a samurai suit.
They had a samurai suit standing there, and it started moving around, didn't it?
Yeah, and it starts attacking the girls, and a lot of other creepy stuff, obviously. And they then realize that they must put Annabelle back in her case. Otherwise, things will continue to escalate and get worse.
That's a good word, isn't it?
So they eventually do get her, after a few tricks by her, obviously, and eventually seal up her case. A little bit difficult than putting, like Mike says here, easier said than done by putting the genie back in the jar, but not so easy for them, obviously. But eventually,
Pandora's box
they eventually do get her back in the box, and they pretty much lock it. And then the girl eventually is approached by Lorraine, who explains to her that she knew about her dead father, not through Judith, obviously, but she tells her that her father does forgive her, obviously, and there was no hard feelings because he knows that wasn't her fault, obviously. And she gives her
a nice daddy.
And he gives her this mourner's bracelet that was one of the items in the archives and stuff. And she remarks about how that that one of the things she likes about this room is that there's all the good that's outside it.
See?
Also,
you can't have really, really good without some evil running around. Yeah.
Also, Judith finally gets the birthday she wants, where she gets
the kids come too.
Yeah, where she, I guess, after one of the kids who was also a brother to the girl who was, getting curious all the time, eventually realized that she's an okay girl, obviously, and they eventually become friends. And then we watch as Ed starts playing on his guitar, probably Love Me Tender, Love Me True.
Well, I didn't know the record player was playing it, so I'll entertain you. Okay.
That was the Conjuring 2, Mike.
Yeah, you need both.
Yeah. Anyway, then that's the end of that movie. And so the next one is called The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, that was released in 2021.
Now, I'm going to mention two things. Okay, this movie and the next one after it, Sarah's going to talk about, The Nun 2, were both directed by Michael Chavez.
Okay.
I was just going through my notes here. James Wan, he wasn't a producer for the first movie, the Conjuring movie, but all the other movies, he was a producer, probably executive producer or something or other. Yeah, so
at least it will give him control.
And the first two movies he didn't, but all the other movies appear to have had James Wan. At least several of the movies, James Wan was actually one of the writers.
Yeah.
Or at least the story. Yeah.
Anyway, so this one is about a man who gets possessed by a demon, who after he begs the demon to be removed from a little boy into him, but didn't know the dangers he was going to face from this demon. And Lorraine works out that this is not an ordinary demon thingy-wing. It turns out this demon is summoned by a witch who is a daughter to one of their acquaintances, or one of the priest's acquaintances.
Yeah, there's an old priest I knew. He's retired now, but when he was younger, he had an affair with a lady and she had a baby.
Yes, and he becomes not so much not so much as obsessed, but
he protected his daughter, but he hid her away from everyone so no one would actually know about her. But he was a student of the occult from the church perspective, and his daughter picked up on his studies as well, but she went in the other direction.
Yeah,
very good?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And she starts using evil demonic statues. She plants them in different places, to unleash her evil to the individual. And of course, for a while,
I think it's called a witch's totem. Is that what it is?
Yeah. One person sort of goes across country to her mum and dad's place. So at first they couldn't find the connection, but then they realized that the form it was taking on a sort of a pentagram star, obviously. So there would probably be more totems if they didn't stop the witch from its evil plan. Anyway, the boy was going to be the next victim, but fortunately it was passed on to the older boy, who asked the demon to take control of himself, but didn't know at the time that suddenly that he killed his landlord in the process. And he starts wandering the streets, and he doesn't see that he's covered in blood. And this is where we learned that about what he did. And of course, the court, they want to charge him for murder, and possibly give him the death sentence. Considering this is Massachusetts at the time, in the police.
Well, yeah, Massachusetts. But anyway, they get in there and they use the warrants there to do an investigation. Yeah.
Gather enough evidence to prove that he was not so much as involved in the murder.
The devil did make him do it. Tentatively speaking. So
he's placed in jail for the safety of the public, obviously.
For a while.
But the demon continues to follow him and somehow appears to him and tries to get him to take his own life. But luckily enough, they were able to secure him and place him in a sort of a medic ward, I think it was.
I thought he was in a solitary, so he couldn't
Yeah.
get to anybody. He couldn't get any sharp items and stuff.
True. But he was tied down by those...
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, he was tied down for a while. Yeah.
At first, he was in an ordinary cell like everyone else. But then the witch tries to visit him again to get him to take his own life. Of course, he uses the holy water that he got from a priest that was inside the prison to give him some holy water that will protect him. Of course, this doesn't stop the demon from trying to get him to take his own life. It seems the witch, she's made a very big, deal with this demon thing to give it a life. Of course, she's already done the same thing to a girl who visited her parents, and she killed her friend, and she took her own life by jumping off the cliff. I keep wondering how many lives she was going to give them. I guess, in my estimate, she was going to give 5 lives, in my opinion.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Or, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Whatever.
Probably 9 lives, because that's how many points to a star is. Even though
there's 5.
I know there's 5, but there's also the corners that binds the...
the valleys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The things to make a star, mostly, in other words.
Yeah, the valleys and the peaks. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, got me 9, yeah.
So, who knows how many more people she may have murdered along the way. Roughly, it's pretty much 2 so far. Well, it's actually 3 people so far, including the girl's best friend, obviously. So, anyway... so Lorraine works it out that where they go to where the dead girl was, obviously, and they find out that she threw herself over, obviously, and they eventually go to the funeral home, obviously, to find out from the dead body to find if there's a connection. She eventually touches the dead girl's hand, and then she starts seeing a vision of the evil witch, obviously, and the witch kind of senses Lorraine's presence, obviously, right?
Yes, yeah.
And she also takes control of Ed for a bit and tries to get him to kill his own wife. Of course, he starts seeing things that the guy does, thinking that he's seeing demons, and therefore he must kill it, obviously.
Kill.
Of course,
whatever. Some of it.
Yeah, so now the witch is targeting them too, meaning she also places a totem into their house, which is inside a flower pot, obviously.
Yeah.
And they find the totem, which is very small, probably about my hand, fist size, and they have to quickly try to find out who that witch is before things get worse. So they tell the girls whose boyfriend who's being possessed to stay with him for the night to look after him and make sure the priest is with him so they can, if anything goes bad, like the demon takes possession, that he'll be there to exorcise it while they look for an answer to trying to find the witch. And eventually, Lorraine finds the answer by going to that retired priest and finds out from him about his daughter and about how she's starting to use his teachings for an evil purpose.
Exactly.
And we find the witch's altar, which according to the couple, Lorraine and Ed, the only way to destroy a witch's curse
is to destroy the altar,
because the witch turns out she's actually cursing these people, and she's doing it through using demons, obviously. And so she starts. She tries to destroy the altar, but the altar is made of hard wood and rock.
Granite, sandstone, something or other.
Yes.
Rock. Yeah.
And eventually the witch kills her father and makes her attempt to try to kill Lorraine. And eventually Ed arrives, and he before I go on, Ed had a heart attack and he was in a hospital for a bit.
Oh, yeah, earlier on. So you got to take little pills you put under your tongue and stuff when you're not feeling real good. Yeah, those things.
He forgot his pills, no doubt. Anyway,
again,
yes.
He's done a couple of times during the movie.
Yeah, I needed. Anyway, he eventually comes there and he gets... the witch takes control of him and tells him to go to seek Lauren out and kill her, obviously. Well, maybe not those words. He still probably thinks that she's still a demon from his eyes, obviously. And she eventually tries to get him to see that it's Lorraine, and she tries to get him to see flashback to his past from when they first met when they were young. And it's kind of nice to see, but eventually does regain his senses and was able to crush and destroy the altar. And when they watch as the witch is about to approach them with a knife, Ed tells her that your deal is done, your curse is lifted, and now it's time to pay the devil.
Pay the piper, so to speak. And the devil or demon came to claim her soul.
Yeah, and soon enough, her body goes snap-baroonies in different parts, and soon enough, she's dead, and the curse is lifted, and we later see the young man going to the courthouse where he's going to get, judged by the court.
And they end up, instead of getting murder, he got manslaughter, 5 years prison term, which is not too bad.
Yeah, it's not, at least it's not severe. And eventually, as
his girlfriend married him while he was in jail and everything. Yeah. He came out and got a job,
and eventually they are still married from what I heard in the details. And then we watch as Lorraine and Ed, they're in the backyard, and she shows her this interesting gazebo he made for her.
Because they when it first went out, wasn't they? They went for a walk somewhere, and they started raining, and they showed it in a gazebo, and that's when they had the first kiss or something at Rama.
Yes.
Something really romantic,
Yeah, and then we, like a couple of these movies, there is a bit of archive interviews, and sometimes we get a bit of audio recordings from the possessions that they took part in, obviously. So, and we also get a few archive photos of the actual Ed and Lorraine, obviously, here and there, of what they look like.
Don't look a thing like the actors.
And of course they line them up together to make sure that, this is the real Lorraine and this one is the actress, and vice versa.
They don't look a thing like them.
And and then now we get to the final movie that was released last year, from what I understand.
The Nun 2,
as
well as.
Yes. So who directed this one?
Same guy as at the top before. I said Michael Chavez.
Yeah. So Nun 2 is a continuation of the first movie, obviously, where the priest he's been made into a bishop or whatever, and he dies, obviously, off screen.
Well, it was a couple of years later. Yeah. He did want to reprise his role, probably had another job on.
He died of, I don't know if it was a virus or something.
Yeah, sorry, he's working in some area there and he got not dysentery. There's one of those bad diseases in a third world country you get. Yeah.
And the nun is now a full-time nun, so she's working in the church, one of the churches she's working for, like in an abbey or a nunnery, and she hears them talking about her story, and they remark about how the nun who took part in the investigation must have lost her mind or lost her marbles.
And to disappear, don't know who she was, and she's going.
I imagine the parish has kept it quiet, the identity, all that stuff, like they often do in most of movies or real stories like that. Even though this is not real, obviously, I don't think this story was real. Just like the Annabelle story, well, prequels, I don't know if that's even real either. So, anyway, so in this one, it continues where we left off, where Maurice is still possessed by this evil demon, and start going from parish to parish to find something, obviously. And eventually they finally go to this building that's supposedly owned by this old lady who's converted to a private school for girls, right?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so, and in this place, he is the groundskeeper, I think, if that's a term, where he's working as your handyman.
Yeah, also a handyman, odd jobs guy,
Yeah.
planting this, fixing that. Yeah.
Anyway, in this story, he's unaware, I guess, that the demon's present is within him. He's getting tireder. Like somehow the demon's using all his energy to
manifest itself and do things. Yeah.
Anyway, the church tells our nun to go to find out what might be causing the sudden deaths of some nuns and priests in the area. Well, not in the area, obviously. It seems like it's coming from Romania, which is where the first movie took place, obviously, and somehow Maurice has been going to different parts around Europe, which ends up leading to the final place we mentioned, the private school for girls, obviously. Anyway,
lucky.
Anyway, so
I'd love to work there.
Maurice is also befriending a teacher who's friends of a little girl, and he has to put up with these nasty other little little girls.
Attitude problems.
Yeah.
Because I picked on the little girl, and he liked the little girl, you see. So he's a bit like a father, big brother. Yeah,
big brother. Yeah. Although I think she has a teeny crush, but I think it's more or less that they're just friends, even though the other girl's teasing her about him, obviously. Anyway, so the nun goes on her investigation, finding out that an altar boy witnessed the whole ordeal with the last victim, obviously, and he tells her in turn about, he gives her a cross, what do they call it, what do they call them?
What? Crucifix?
Not crucifix, rosary beads. Yeah, rosary bead, which has a symbol that sort of gets her thinking that it sort of relates to the Saint Lucy character.
who had her eyes gouged out or something or other. Yeah.
And this is where we find out much later in the movie that Saint Lucy is related to our current nun, obviously. And,
through several generations.
And her mother also had the sight, obviously, and of course, being and of course, in this society, if you have the sight, you're considered a freak, and you may have to go. You have to go to a mental institute. Whether unwilling, we don't know.
Well, you go somewhere.
Yeah.
Not us. Yeah.
It's a shame that when people had such sights or abilities or mental problems, their first solution in any case is to confine them and put them in lockup, whether it's a willing or not willing at all, which is annoying when you think about it.
Apparently. Anyway, Karen.
Anyway, so she eventually goes to this school, and eventually confronts Reese about what's happening, and he starts taking on, the demon starts taking all over him, and he starts hunting down both our little girl and our nun, obviously, and start using up his whole massive power, obviously. The evil demon wants this Saint Lucy's eyes, that according to him, to some local legend, that they're very powerful talisman or something.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah.
That will, I guess, give him all-time power, I guess.
Something along those lines.
Anyway, they eventually find it in an abandoned or closed down church.
It had a damaged chapel that got damaged during the war. They never fixed it up or something or other. Yeah.
And they worked out that a goat on one of their chapel windows, it kind of
had an image of a goat, but had two red eyes, and if the sun hits it in a particular way, the eyes would indicate a spot on the floor, or on the wall, on the floor, wasn't it? On the floor, where it may actually have this item be hidden. Yeah. Now, it reminds of Indiana Jones, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the Ark of the Ark of the Covenant. You're digging in the wrong place. The map room.
Yeah, anyway, they eventually worked this out, and were able to find the eyes, obviously. How gross is that? Anyway, so they tried to protect the girls throughout this scene because Maurice continues hunting. Well, he doesn't just hunt them. He's hunting both the girl, he's Maurice's friend, and he tries to track her down a couple times. Eventually, he gets the eyes, and eventually, the demon itself devours them. But luckily enough, our nun was able to work out the truth and was able to fight the demon using her ability, and both sisters start chanting about, the lines from the Bible, prayer and stuff, and causes the wine in the wine cellar to turn into the blood of Christ. And this eventually vanishes Valak again the second time. And we then cross over the next morning where we see Maurice glad that things have worked out. And he walks off with his little girl and her mum. And all the time, Arne is wondering about the future that waits. Waits a minute,
yeah.
And we don't even know if, again, this seeing as Maurice is the same man that the Conjuring guys have to exercise in from the first movie, obviously. I keep wondering to myself whether or not they may have changed something in the storyline.
They did. No, the only ones they stuck to the original real information were the two Conjuring movies. The spin-offs, they just spent the rules a bit.
Yeah, and I do maybe Valak is not completely vanished.
Ready for another sequel.
Because considering if they have hoped for a bit of connection, that it would have. Well, if things worked out, if they didn't make this latest movie, maybe things would have worked out in the end. But I guess money talks and studio executives walk.
And BS walk, yeah.
And they want to make another movie, whether or not they could find
each of these movies have made a ridiculous profit. It's fantastic. So there's no reason why they shouldn't make another film. How's that?
Yeah. Now, anyway,
that concludes that bit. We are running into a bit longer than we anticipated here.
And
now,
there's no point in actually doing a reception on this one because there's probably too many.
Generally speaking, I think favourably across the board, generally had really good reviews. How's that? Okay. Now, I can't go through everyone, otherwise we'll be here all bloody night. And now, having said that, I'm going to rate it as a series, a movie series, 9.5.
Okay, I'm going to rate it. Well, considering that most of them were not really good, but when I watched
as a full
series,
as a franchise,
I'm going to say 10 out of 10 myself.
Okay, that's
because most of them, there were some moments I didn't like the certain scene, but the other times
it all comes together.
It all comes together, and it adds something to it, even though, like the Enfield one, we still haven't resolved whether or not they ever found out if they did vanquish the demon or whether or not the family lied or something. Because even in the Amityville haunting, they still can't figure out whether that was a real haunting because most of the people contradicted their story.
Well, a lot of people be set up and scrap and say, what do you do?
Because most of the time in these movies, you don't know who to believe, or if the people have two different sides of the story and they didn't really clearly, are, telling the truth. When you think about it, it's a little upsetting when you think about how many haunting movies and stories you hear about these types of haunted houses, and you don't know whether to believe the victims or just that they're just making it up for a profit or trying to get the attention they want.
Something like that.
Anyway, so
where to get it?
Where to get him? Even though
I'm glad you asked.
We know the answer to that. Really.
Okay, Ricky. Right. Okay, best way to do this. Okay, most of these movies, there's a 7-disc set available at a very, very, very moderate price. So I would say just buy the 7-disc if you can get it at the right price, instead of worrying about renting it, it'd be cheaper. Now, on eBay, it's for sale, and you get it reasonably cheap, the 7 discs. It doesn't have the last movie, The Nuns, but you get it separately. Amazon also has it rented for sale, same deal, you can get the box sets. So if you have other streaming services and other places, you're probably going to get it. So yeah, it's there. It's Blu-ray, it's DVD, it's whatever. It's whichever way you want it. It's there, and you can rent it and whatever. Blah blah blah. Okay, it's done. We're running into overtime here. I don't want to waste your time too much. So anyway, we've graded it. And it's for sale. Now, I will say one thing. It doesn't matter whether you believe in what the Warrens were doing or not. That's open for public opinion, your own personal views, whatever. But the movie selection here, the franchise, it all comes together. It's a bit like Star Wars, the piece of a jigsaw, because if you watch the movies, you got the Conjuring, and then the next one, they start to interlock. The Nun and the Annabelles and everything else. It all sort of links in, and actually the last movie, the Nun 2, actually brings it all together a bit as well. So yeah.
The other franchise I like to bring up would be Saw. The other movie that deals with it like a jigsaw thing.
But it's so you could say the 7 or 8 movies, makes a bit of a puzzle, and it actually each bit adds something to the storyline, whether you believe the storyline or not. Yeah. It's pretty dang groovy. So it's worth a watch. And if you want to go add it to your collection, if you're into this sort of stuff, I'd go for the 7 disc packs. You can get them really cheap, and then buy the Nun 2 on top of it, and then bung it in there, and you got the whole 8 movies.
Yeah.
And it's worth it.
Anyway, so that's about it from us, guys. So now it's up to you guys to actually watch the thing.
I would. Oh, I did. Sorry.
Yeah. If you have a favourite one you want to watch, that you like in the set, that's okay too. If you don't have to watch all of them, obviously. If you have a favourite,
I would. At the price of it, if you bought the box set instead of renting them, it'd be cheaper, and they for about $20 or something rather, if that. Go and get them and add them to collection, because they are a good watch. Okay, you're not going to be having dead money here, and then you put them together. So, food for thought. Interesting. Is it crap? Is it real? It's up to you. Yeah.
So that's about it from us, guys. Oh, before we begin in this podcast, we've been doing a bit of a clean out here on our, in our studio. You may not see it here because
you won't see it. We can take some photographs if you like, but
that it's quite changed because we bought a new set of wardrobes.
I got some cupboards there to put a lot of my stuff away. I'm going to get a big air conditioner thrown in here because we get some really hot summers here.
Yeah.
And some can be coldish winters, but not as bad as the summers. And so we'll be able to. We're putting some doors on our garage here, sliding doors to the garage doors. That'll soundproof the town as well, and keep the mosquitoes and lizards and spiders and toads out of here. And it'll be a bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
So make it like a real studio.
Yeah. So that's about it from us, guys. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this return. Obviously, I'll try to get some more episodes for you ready for this month. Obviously,
we have. This one's coming down on Monday night.
And
that'd be the 5th and the 6th. That night, Monday the 5th.
Monday
the 5th.
Yeah.
It comes on Tuesday the 6th, isn't it? Something, yeah. You do it last thing on Monday night.
I just looked at your clock.
Yeah, today is the 4th. Tomorrow is the 5th, which is Monday. So you do it late at night.
Is when we do it.
And then you upload it so it's ready for the Tuesday, which is the 6th.
No, I release them on Mondays from Wednesday, remember?
Yeah, Monday night.
I don't release it on a Tuesday.
What? Yeah.
I probably will release this one the following week, obviously.
Well, okay, we told everybody we're going to do it this week.
Because I did promise, say that I will probably return recording on the 6th.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, not this week, but next week, hopefully, we're back in full swing. So that'd be the 6th, the 5th. That'd be the 12th. Yeah, the 12th. What's this space? How's that?
Yes.
Cool.
So that's about it from us, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed our return, and we look forward to seeing you guys for my next episode, obviously. So this is Sarah Stephenson
And Michael.
saying see you guys around on Boys and Ghouls Film Review. Bye for now, and have a good week.
Don't let the demons get you.
Don't let the demons bite.
Bye.
Bye.